The League of Women Voters used to be pretty good about the idea of having an open debate between all the candidates that were on the ballot. I think they've kind of receded into the background a little bit on...
That's not their doing. I think that after Ross Perot happened...
Oh, yeah?
That was taken away from the League of Women Voters.
Okay. Well, yeah, the Presidential Election Commission. Yeah, they didn't want the League of Women Voters making decisions about who was going to be included. So the Democrats and Republicans got together and formed the Presidential Debate Commission, where they can make all the rules.
Very tellingly, it was initially called the Bipartisan Commission on Presidential Debates. Then they realized that maybe that's a little too revealing. They changed the name to the Commission on Presidential Debates, which is headed up by two co-chairs, the former head of the DNC and the former head of the RNC. And it was created with the express purpose of shutting third parties out.
For sure.
I think that no doubt that takes place at the state level as well. There was a conscious decision that was made after Ross Perot that this can never happen again. I think it was an agreement, collusion, call it collusion if you will, between both of the parties to do that.
Yeah. A lot of people have made the case if we only had Fords and Chevys to buy as a choice in the marketplace, that people would be very upset about that. But they don't seem to be as upset about just having two choices in the political realm. So.
And the two-party system that we have to an extent locked in, I think it's indicative of how sclerotic our democracy has become. If new parties were able to move in with new ideas and new people, and kind of as they became less popular, 50 or 100 years later, they would just go away and disappear, and new ones kind of came and went organically. And incrementally, like in a parliamentary system or something in Europe, that would be the sign that, that things are healthy. But I feel like one of our key functions is to be a sort of a safety valve. A safety valve for when there's just too much friction and too much heat in the two-party system. But
I think we may be approaching that kind of a boiling point in the culture these days, that people are realizing that basically on a lot of these issues, you don't really, if you're a libertarian, you don't necessarily have to take sides. You're not trying to force somebody else to do something that you want them to do, and you don't want them forcing you to do something you don't want to do. And so why can't we agree on a live and let live philosophy and get some of those more contentious issues out of the political realm?
I do want to mention something about the voters. Many times they mix up
voters. Okay,
the voters. They mix up libertarian candidates with independent candidates, and they sometimes say, "Are you running as an independent?" And say, "I'm running as a libertarian." And what they don't realize is that the Libertarian Party has been around year after year since 1971, now approaching 50 years. And other third-party candidates who are independent form their own party, and then when the candidate decides not to run again, then the party disappears. That's what happened with Ross Perot.
Called a personality.
Yes, Ross Perot was Ross Perot's party, and we don't even remember the name. I don't remember the name of his party.
The Reform Party.
The Reform Party.
Yeah, right. The Reform Party.
But it was a top-down sort of organization, a cult of personality. Right? And when he was gone, it was gone. But we're grassroots, bottom up.
Yes, and I think that's important for people to know, that the Libertarians are grassroots, and they field many, many, many candidates year after year after year through the election season, through the decades.
Right.